Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem.
Pre-activity check as we get set up.
Today's learning objectives. So as a result of attending today's session, participants will be able to
develop the type of training that you want to do at your own institutions.
Academic departments will sometimes want to co-sponsor a program. Some student organizations charge dues, so you got to pay.
Rasulil Kareem. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What the Vice Chancellor UET Professor Habibur Rahman, Registrar UET Muhammad Asif, our distinguished international trainers, HESSA management team, and dear colleagues all across Pakistan, Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to all of you. Let's formally start this event with the name of Almighty Allah. I will call upon Hafiz Shujaat Ali Khan, who is a student of 2021 Mechanical Engineering, to come on stage and recite a few verses from Holy Quran.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم صدق الله العظيم. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Yasin, by the wise Quran, indeed you, O Muhammad, are from among the messengers on a straight path. This is a revelation of the exalted in might, the especially merciful, that you may warn a people whose forefathers were not warned, so that they are unaware. The decree of punishment has been passed against most of them, for they will not believe. Indeed, we have placed shackles around their necks up to their chins, so their heads are forced to remain up. And we have put before them a barrier and behind them a barrier, and covered them so they do not see. And it is all the same for them whether you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. You can only warn one who follows the message and fears the most merciful unseen. So give him glad tidings of forgiveness and a noble reward. Indeed, it is we who bring the dead to life and record what they have put forth and what they left behind, and all things we have enumerated in a clear register. Thank you.
Thank you, Shujat. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Let me introduce first myself. I'm Professor Asif Ali Kaisar, Professor of Polymer Engineering and Director Students of UET Lahore. And on behalf of UET, I welcome you all here. It's wonderful to see all you here, including our international trainers, Dr. Kavin, Arco, Associate Dean. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. So Senior Associate Dean, International Students, Duke University. Then John Stephanus, I'm sorry again, right, is our student leadership trainer from Cairo, from International Institute of Education. Carrie Johnson, our leadership trainer from American University, Cairo. Then USAID Assistant Director, Gavin Sheffer. She's from the USA, and Madam Asma Mohsin, Program Manager, HESSA Program Manager. She's based at Islamabad, and she is all along us in all trainings, facilitating us and managing everything. And my distinguished colleagues of Student Affairs all across the Pakistan. We are very familiar now with each other. It has been 2 years. So welcome you all here, and I hope we'll have very fruitful and comfortable session here in coming 4 days. Right, I'll call our Vice Chancellor, Professor Habibur Rahman, to come on stage and welcome the distinguished guests. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable trainers of the HESSA program for the student programming and leadership development, Kavin Arco, Senior Associate Dean for the international students, Duke University, US, Kerry Johnson, Executive Director, Student Financial Affairs and Scholarships, the American University in Cairo, Egypt, John Steve Finnis, Academic Advising and Partnership Manager, IIE, Cairo Office, Egypt. HESSA program team members including Gwendolyn Sheffer, Assistant Director, USAID Program at the Institute of International Education, IIE, US, Asma Mohsin, Program Manager, IIE, HESSA Project, and trainees of the program from 15 or 16 universities. Assalamu alaikum, and good morning to everyone. So it's a matter of immense pleasure and great honor to warmly welcome to the international trainers and experts and HESSA partner of the 15 universities representatives and officials present here from all over Pakistan for the student programming and student leadership development training. This is a very valuable theme and how we can further enhance the students' experiences at the universities and their soft skills development as out of classroom studies contribute significantly to the overall employability skills of the graduates. Previously we were calling these activities as extraordinary activities, which are extra. But now the educationals, they say, these are not extra. These are co-curricular activities, which are essentially to be inculcated in the students. So HESSA is a very useful program that promotes capacity building on research, administration, commercialization, student services, and most importantly, personality grooming of the students, particularly through inculcating leadership skills and programming through co-curricular activities that are the objectives of the current training as well. The UET Lahore is pleased to host this training, and Dr. Asif Ali Kassar and my team members will ensure your excellent time here at the UET and productive days, fruitful discussions, further strengthening linkages, and learning international and national best practices and how these can be adopted for implementing in the local context to benefit our universities. UET Lahore is 102-year-old university. It has about 13,000 plus students which are studying in 5 campuses, and we offer in total 150 programs, 62 undergrad programs, and 92 postgraduate programs. As per 2023 QS World Ranking, UET is ranked at 791 to 800, means among 60% universities of the world, and under QS Asian ranking, UET stands at 161. It means in the top 21% universities of the Asia. In 2023, UET has jumped 45 places in the world ranking and 18 places in the Asian ranking. We emphasize on the learning of our students in all 3 domains, that is the cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, and affective domain. A very good thing is that since 2014, we have started outcome-based education system under Washington Accord. And due to that, we have to work on the graduate attributes as well. And that was the time we learned to know that what is alumni, what is graduate, and how we can inculcate the manners and the affective domain in our students. Affective domain includes response and behavior, and we strive to achieve this through various curriculum-based activities and more effectively through out-of-classroom activities and internships and social work, including community services. This HESSA program will go a long way to achieve these goals. Moreover, we want to facilitate our students in terms of financial aid, career and well-being counseling, entrepreneurship, so they may have a learning conducive environment at the campus. UET Lahore is pleased to be working with the HESSA as the partner, and we look forward to continuing working with the project, as well as other partner HEIs in various components of leadership, faculty development, research and innovation, student support services, and other areas which the project is focusing on. I wish you all a good days of learning here at UET and sharing knowledge and skills, and look forward to meeting you at the dinner tonight here at the UET. Thank you very much and stay blessed.
Thank you very much, sir, for all your support and will for the success of this program at UET, and wish the success to all other HEIs. To me, this higher education student system strengthening activity is a transformational program for our higher education institutes all across Pakistan, because we could have never appreciated the significance of these areas in which we are being trained earlier, and maybe if it wouldn't be there, we couldn't have appreciated and understood the importance of these areas. As Vice Chancellor has mentioned, the areas are under this program, these are directly related to the student success at the campus, and which ultimately lead towards employability and career progression. And among those areas, student leadership and student programming through various extracurricular activities. These are, I think and I believe, these are the areas which actually transform the students for a successful career in their future life. So thank you very much for USAID-HESSA team, our trainers and institutions for making this a real success. And we hope to see some good results in future once this program goes on, and at the conclusion after 5 years. Now there are 2.5 years left, I think. Right away, I would request Kavin, our manager at USAID and the person behind this program, with all her support, her smile, please come on stage and enlighten us about this program. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. It's great to see you all again. Good morning. I am so incredibly proud and happy to be here today at the University of Engineering and Technology, Lahore. cannot be more thankful for all the support, the university, Dr. Asif and his team, and all the students and staff working behind the scenes to make this event a reality. We've been hoping to move our trainings off hotel properties and into universities, and this is already, I can tell, going to be an incredibly successful week, and it truly would not be possible without the support of UET Lahore and all the staff here, so thank you very much. On behalf of the USAID Higher Education System Strengthening Activity and the Institute of International Education, I'm so happy to once again be here and have the opportunity to work and to see the fantastic progress that you all are making in this particular focal area of student leadership programming and development, as well as the student support services on the whole. As you know, my esteemed colleagues, the respected Dr. Habib Rahman, the Vice Chancellor of UET Lahore, as well as Dr. Asif have perfectly captured. It is really these focal areas and these student support services that make the student experience a success on campus, and it really sets them up for success well beyond the life cycle, their academic life cycle and career. I won't belabor the points because you've heard me say it all before, and I know you're very excited to get started with our international trainers who are here to be back with you. We've got a very robust week of activities, as you can see in your agendas that we've shared with you. Each one of the trainers will be walking you through the objectives and the activities. So again, I won't belabor the points up here, but again, I just want to formally say on behalf of the project, thank you for all the time and the effort and the extra hours that you put in on top of a myriad of responsibilities that we all know you each have in your daily lives, both at the university and your personal lives. We know all the work that you have done so far over the past 18 months. It's been truly remarkable to see all the progress that each of you have made in such a short time period. And again, we truly thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and we're excited to start a very exciting week. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Asif, but thank you and look forward to a great week. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Kavin, Assistant Director, USAID at Washington, D.C. With this, I thank again Vice Chancellor, Registrar Muhammad Asif, and all my team. Madam Aisha is there, students, my office, Mr. Saeed, Sadia, all team to making these arrangements and giving us support. And with this, we end with this opening ceremony, and I hand over floor to our trainers. Yeah, thank you very much.
Evaluation training link that we shared in WhatsApp last night. So please take a few minutes now while we get set up to do that. So Asma, are you sharing it in the WhatsApp group once more? It should take just a few minutes. You've done this before a million times for us. So just to do a quick pre-activity check as we get set up.
How do you define the changing spaces? What kind of change happened in this definition? And what have your own thinking thoughts to this? How did you define it? How did you define this? It seems that everyone had a different definition of changing basically to thought.
The transfer of knowledge, might transfer of skills, something like that, or sharing the skills.
Sometimes changing places contribute towards success. That's what we have to say. We should believe them.
We can change roles with others.
So it is also how you find like how you understand that communication model is a different thinking process for everyone. And this is a very simple idea. It defines what each and every one of us think of how we understand, anticipate the understanding and others' understanding of the assumptions. And through this, it's very simple. And this time, we'll try also to not use much of the approach so that you know that it is very simple. We can exchange other ideas that we have, but not simple. But it is the thinking process and the learning and the experience that we have, the fun and challenges, and what defines what strategies we have, the different experiences and skills, and this transference of skills and experiences is what creates the good experience and learning.
Yeah, initially the activities seem very difficult, but changing strategy becomes easier. So always change your strategy. It doesn't come up with the design research.
Teamwork and teamwork.
Yes, and teamwork and also communication and listening. There has been many ideas, but it is that once you decide as a team to empty your inner noises and start really listening and understanding what the other person is trying to achieve.
Yes, just something on light. What we learned here, don't listen to our leaders who we are.
That's a dangerous approach.
So we change it as a paper.
Yeah, sometimes leadership emerges within the team, and this is a topic that we have discussed many times with designated leadership in teams, and sometimes we get leadership that occurs where someone will take initiative, and it is the team's choice, and also the leaders, the designated leaders' choice to either listen or to just shut down these ideas and possible changes of decision-making process and trying to ideas. Any other learning?
I was actually we should give opportunities to all of us to give us something similar that all of us can voice our opinion that no, we can do it.
Trusting the team.
Yes.
Trusting the team members.
Not shutting one down.
So we have to listen to everyone.
Yes.
I actually, before we get started, I did want to introduce and have everybody introduce themselves to our new participants. So Dr. Kazir has joined us as of a few months ago, and he's been working with John, Harry, and I to get caught up in the past year. So briefly, if you don't mind introducing yourself to him, let him know your name, where you're coming from, and I have been told multiple times that Lahore is the city of food, and everybody talks about food here. See some nodding heads. So what's your favorite, either thing to eat in Lahore, or just favorite food in general? And I will start, so Kevin Arco, Senior Associate Dean for International Students at Duke, and I had a lovely Bahari kebab the other day, which we gathered after context clues that the waiter thought would be too spicy for me. But then he's like, sir, maybe we could do something else. But it ended up being delicious. So far, that's one of the best things I've eaten so far. Let's start with one of our hosts.
I'm Dr. Smara Siddharth, and I'm the Student Affairs at Lahore Government University. And specialization in which I have done my PhD, that is physiology and endocrinology, and I am associate professor. There are so many foods, but I can't. What for me. I want to point out.
If I was here after 1 minute, if you're taking dinner, what are you thinking for?
Point out only one thing.
यार
It won't be fair to do that.
फौरी तौर पे फिर उधर से ले आए लेकिन नहीं ऊपर कौन लगाए
That's why. I'll try to welcome
टेबलें भी हमारी ऐसी है ना
so that you can have so many dishes.
इसका फौरी हल क्या हो सकता है
देख लेते हैं
पहले ही खुला है अपने वाले
फ्लैक्चुएट होता ना होने दे।
अच्छा लेकिन ये इसका प्रॉपर है सोल्यूशन तो नहीं है
ये ना केबल शायद लगा ये जो लूज हुआ है ना अब हो रहा है फ्लैक्चुएट।
Okay, I'm Sayyid Jazib. I'm from UET Swami. So when you mentioned
अभी तो नहीं हो रहा।
so Bihari Kebab is our traditional. I hail from Bihar actually, so we are specialized in Bihari Kebab. So I don't know if there are some quality Bihari Kebabs in Lahore, but I would love to have.
वो स्लाइड नेक्स्ट करें शायद।
Great restaurant as well. Well, I have nothing to compare to.
नहीं ये वो स्मूथली जब वो इसको जब स्टे दिया है ना उसके बाद वो होना शुरू हो गया खुद ही
अभी अगर होती है ना ब्रेक शेक तो फिर देख लेते हैं इसे केबल शेबल मुझे लगता है केबल भी लगा केबल का जो कनेक्टर है ना जैसे उसमें मसला सेम इशू
केबल भी चेंज होने वाली है ना लेकिन वो ऊपर से होगी उन्होंने कहने इन्हों ना हिला रहे इसको ना हिलाए
इधर ना बड़े अजीब तरीके से पड़ा हुआ था पहले
उसने ही अटैच किया ना
मैंने इसे अब इससे कोशिश की है
अच्छा उसने टाइम को सिर्फ डोंट मूव दिस
But it's called pie in English.
Pie.
It's not a black pie. Don't have that pie.
Like French pie?
I'm actually teaching geography for college. My PhD is in geography, but at the same time I'm working as a deputy director of student society. As far as food is concerned, I'm not very much into food, but what I don't like about Lahore is the spices. What I like about Lahore is the tea, but not from the five-star hotel, from the dhabas.
Yes, I'm Dr. Asif Ali Kathir, Director Student of the UET, and I love everything that my wife does.
Great answer.
How can you write this? Video बनाएंगे और भेजेंगे. Do you people believe this?
It was just a joke.
He's been married a while.
I work in Institute Post and
place to myself the event. And I just had a single dinner last night and can say about the favorite food. I will mention my favorite food in the closing ceremony.
I think my favorite food is nihari.
Well, Dr. Kazir, welcome. Clearly, we've been going at this now for a year and a half. There is a comfort level within this group. We know what to expect with John and Carrie and some of the activities. We're very interactive with our sessions, so we're really excited to have you be part of the team. I think you saw this morning, we just jumped right in. And one of the things that I love about coming back to Pakistan is I feel like I have family here now. Being able to see everybody, the hugs, the welcomes, it's just great to be back, great to be part of this. I've been told like not touch the wire, I need to be live, so I'm going to stay as far away from my laptop as I possibly can. And kind of go through my presentation here. So I want to start with an overview. We're going to be doing kind of like we did last January in Hindi. We'll be spending our mornings doing student programming, breaking for lunch, and doing student leadership in the afternoon with John and Carrie. On Tuesday and Wednesday, I will be leading a session with LCWU, UET faculty, and also our participants here for professional development. So we're going to be doing a lot in our time together. I'm excited about the time together. The week is going to fly by, I think, just because of the nature of the activities that we're doing. I want to start as I always do, with some updates. So job's still the same, kids are getting bigger. So this was from about a week ago. That is my now 5-year-old Mark, my soon-to-be 2-year-old Samuel, and my wife Katie. We were at a holiday event in downtown Durham, kind of in the area is like the festive season in the U.S., Christmas lights and all that kind of stuff are around. So there's a huge slide out in the middle of the field there that my son got to ride down. Which was super fun. I had just come off of breaking the bone in my elbow, so I was not going down the slide. I was hanging out with my 2-year-old while he was running around and enjoying our night out. I always say this because it's important. I think we come in here with multiple identities. We come in here with our personal experiences and our professional experiences. My kids, my family knows the core of who I am and why I do what I get to do every day. And I think that's the same for all of us here. And it's basically, I would joke with my boss who's now had her first child, and he's going to be like 8 months. Like, easiest part of my day is generally my work. I come home and there's a lot of activity and a lot of things that we're doing to kind of manage our 2 boys, but they are the center of our universe. Also in terms of identity, here I'm an educator. At the end of the day, we have titles, we have everything that goes with being an international trainer, getting to be the privilege of being here. But at the end of the day, the reason why I'm here is because I'm an educator at heart. It's something that I look forward to doing. It's something that I aspire to be every day. I aspire to be better. My wife was also a teacher, so last week as I was going through my slides, I was going to go from like my living room and then I would walk to the couch while she was just sitting there watching TV. And I was like, I need to talk about this activity. Please help me through it. And she was a teacher that was kind of like, okay, how about you think about this and how about this? So she was my partner in crime in a lot of good ways. In terms of, it has been incredibly supportive of me with these. It's an honor and privilege to be back. These slides will be available, by the way, we're on my canvas. But what's up for saying it's an honor and privilege to be back. A year ago, I had not stepped foot in Pakistan, and 12 months later, this is my 3rd visit. We all gathered for the first time, at least from my perspective, in India, and most of you were in Urban 2 years ago. Last summer, last June, we got to see each other, and then here again. And I think about those activities, and I think about where I was a year ago, in terms of like, not really knowing what I was getting myself into. There's a lot of Zoom meetings, Zoom was hard. I was like, I don't know what's going to work in terms of presentations, I don't know the group. And, you're just trying to figure this out, and just the excitement and ease of prepping and getting ready for this, and how I've been thinking about doing this particular session and the way that I want to organize it since I saw you in June. I've been thinking about this since then, and I've been excited. It's been building up this, and this has been like a culmination. So from a professional standpoint, I'm excited to be able to share some of this information with you all. We're going to go through it in just a little bit. But I always go back to what Tarek said, think about, there's a lot of comments that stick out to me from our training. But the conversation that we did in our final reflection last summer in June, when Dr. Tarek was just saying, you know, this is the real Pakistan. When you go home, when you go back to Egypt, when you go back to the US, talk about the people that you meet, talk about the interactions. And I find myself, when I have conversations with colleagues, I talk about you all. I talk about the work that you all are doing at your campuses. I talk about how welcoming an environment it is. And it's something that like now everyone's like, oh, we have to go back to Pakistan. Where before I had to explain it was confusing to people, and others just like, go, great, we've gone for a week, and we get emails from you at a weird time, I'll see you when you get back, safe travels. And it's incredible that how 1 year has really just changed the preparation, and has changed just the enthusiasm level. And I wanted to share that with you all. And truly when I say it's an honor and privilege to be part of this program, it is. I cannot wait to work with you all week. I cannot wait to continue to work with you all in the coming months. See you again in July when we're back together again and be part of that. So those words, among many other words, that stuck with me in terms of my experience here. And then I was furiously adding this to my slides this morning, Dr. Iman's opening remarks, talking about the work that we do through student programming and student leadership. As we used to use the phrase extracurricular, this was extra work, this was, when you say extra, usually that means unnecessary or something that if you do it, great, but if not, no worries. But now we're in a space where we're talking about student programming, we're thinking about it as co-curricular. This is part of the learning. This is expected to what we do. What we do in the classroom is going to complement out of the classroom. What we do outside of the classroom, those skills complement what we do inside of the classroom. And you all are professors. You all are directors of student affairs in different capacities. Some of you are wearing more than those two hats. And then on top of that, you all are coming in here as husbands, wives, parents, brothers, sisters, and carrying all those identities. So it's really cool to be part of this program because we really have to emphasize, those different portions of our personal and professional backgrounds. So I always like to talk about where we've been and where we're going. So we are in year 3, and I was asking my new guys, when is the 5 years of worship, like 2026, and like a month from now is 2024, so it really kind of put that in perspective of what we are hoping to accomplish in the next 2 years. So thinking about year 1, right, where we kind of started when Randy did my presentation plan, talking about the importance of student involvement and student programming, learning objectives, student development theory. We moved into assessment skill building. We talked about strategic planning, identifying kind of where we're going, and student development theory as well. And looking at the KPIs that we came up with together last June, focusing in on student societies and organizations, and that's really the core of what we're doing today, or this week, excuse me. Assessment implementation. I've not forgotten about what we talked about in June. We're going to talk about how we're going to be applying and move forward in storytelling in July as we kind of do some of our work between now and then while I get back to the US. And then, of course, student development theory. Student development theory, of course, being what guides us in terms of our work. And the emphasis there is throughout all this student development theory, student development theory, student development theory. We talked about this in our November training. It is going to be kind of sprinkled into our training over the next few months. It is a continued conversation. I always say the trainings that I'm sharing, the theories that I'm sharing are based in the US, but they are things that apply to all college students every day. There are a lot of similarities between 18 to 22-year-olds in the US, in Egypt, and Pakistan. There are those similarities. So how do we apply those theories? How do they inform the work that we do? How do they help us understand our students? How do they help us better serve and support our students as we move forward? So here are our KPIs. Everybody memorizes this, right? We're all like top of head, we do them. So our we came up with 4 KPIs. That was a super fun activity. If you all remember, you guys were like editing each other's work, kind of working around that room. So for our student programming, we talked about 2. Each HEI will develop policies for fair, unbiased student elections/selections and standard operating procedures for student society creation and management. Number 2, each HEI will assess student soft skill development through formal methods of data collection. So you can think about it this way in terms of how I'll structure this year: December of 2023, June of 2020, or July of 2024. We're focusing on this one this week. One of the challenges that I think I've had in reflecting and working with everybody is that everybody is at different phases of student organization management on their campuses. Some people have established SOPs, some people have established organizational, kind of constitutional processes, that sort of thing. Others, not so much. Those other universities maybe have strengths in other areas. But we have not been able to, in part because of just the skill building that I was hoping to accomplish before I got to here, we have not really had that dedicated time where we're focused on talking about student societies, student society management, and how to develop those SOPs. And I think throughout this week, we're going to be talking about that, we're going to be developing that, and we're going to be working on that. So something to just hopefully look forward to as we get ahead. All right, everybody's got a book in front of them. I brought presents.
I brought presents.
You went pop presents, but I got some tonight, so I don't want to touch my laptop. So everybody should have a book in front of them there. This book here, you can grab that. Okay. So throughout this week, I need you to bring this with you. And then this is a room, which we background, so we can leave in the room, right? Yeah. So write your name somewhere on this book so that we know, or you can put your university. It should be a university resource for you to be able to bring back. So this is part of our training. This is actually what the entire training is based off of. Throughout this week, I'm going to highlight different chapters, different activities. We're going to do some of the actual activities that are in the book as part of some of our interactive sessions. This is yours to keep, bring it back to the university. This is a resource that we will be using. I want to emphasize this, and again, we talk about this again tomorrow. This is written for an American context, from an American perspective, I should say. So it'll talk about U.S. laws in some areas, or kind of U.S. kind of terminology. The general premise of the book, though, in terms of being a student organization kind of manual, is there. And I think that's like the most important thing. So some of it will be relevant in terms of the legal piece, but what will be really important is that this is a foundational book, a foundational document in terms of student development, student organization management, and also advisor management. So how do you prepare advisors? How do you train other people? This is a great resource. So when I go through the slides, you're going to see this come up. I'm going to be like chapter 2, chapter 5, chapter 7. So when you get the slide afterwards, you're like, Kevin, we talked about advisor training. Go to chapter 7 and 11. I pulled all the materials out of there. So this is something that I want you to be able to take back to your campus. And it's going to tell you, and I kind of source everything for you in my slides that you have access to, so that you can bring it back and actually go back and be like, oh yeah, this is what we're talking about. This is where we got that from. It's all from here. Make sense? So please just make sure you have your name on it, because you are going to be writing in it as well. So Aisha, bringing back the new textbook. I mean, you guys have both done something about it, I guess that works out. But like, you want to bring back your own notes that you can be taking within each of these textbooks. Okay, so what I've also done in this presentation, I'm using, I'm using my November training. I'm going to try to use quotes. I always say the quotes are helpful. As I was working on my slides yesterday, I had a little bit where I was thinking back to one of my graduate programs where we kept on talking about this one particular quote. It's from Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Has anybody read that before? So curiosity. 2, 3, 4-ish, yeah. It's been around for a good 20, 30 years. It's a book that's just, it's an easy read if you ever get a chance to read it. But there's a couple of core tenets that come out of it, and we always used to talk about this in my doctorate program, being mission driven, and trying to think about how do we keep everybody on task. So I'm going to put up a quote here that's kind of a word salad, but we always use it. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. Say that again. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. This means 9. So Samir, do you want to try to explain that from your perspective, what that means?
Focus.
Focus.
To give clarity.
To give priorities.
Priority to the main thing.
Priority to the main thing.
There should be priority from the start.
Start to the end.
Point of focus.
Point of focus. We get distracted in our work. We all wear multiple hats. We all have a lot of things we have to do. I think part of the reason why people in this room were selected to be here is because you are, it's a dude goes say it's like a crisis of confidence. If you are good at your work, leadership usually sees that and they're like, hey, how would you also do this? Can you do this as well? And it'll start to like add more and more to your plate because you're good at what you do and you know that you have that impact on both the university and the student community. And when we think about what we do, what our main thing is, how do we stay focused when we have all of these different responsibilities, when we have our personal responsibilities, when we leave work, how do we keep the main thing the main thing? It's about being focused, it's about being mission driven. Sometimes it's also about saying no. Like, you know what, that's a really good opportunity, but let's make sure that we take a step back and not push forward with this new initiative, this new idea. So, as kind of the cadence of this presentation, we're going to do a lot of like talking, listening. There's going to be some journaling, sharing, and sharing back out, kind of what we've done in the past. So this is going to be the first thing. So everybody, they should have like a notebook in front of them, I believe, somewhere. Yep, I read the notebook there. This is what I'm looking for. So you should have that in front of you with a pen. So we'll take a couple of minutes to answer this. What is your individual main thing at work, at home, and in your career? As you're finishing journaling, share what you wrote down at your tables. We're not going to go share out to the entire room, so share what you wrote out to your tables.
Teaching and research. Take care of my family member. Want to be best for people. Guiding and motivating students, curricular activities, just and time, and career
Okay, so I think everybody's had the opportunity. Two more minutes. Two more minutes.
One just
One more. Alright, so we are going to roll this conversation into a working tea. So I want to invite everybody to go to the back of the room for working tea. We can come back. It is 10:50 on my watch. Come back here by 11. There's bathrooms inside here in the hallway for anybody who needs to use them. We're going to take a 10-minute break and come back here at 11 o'clock. Your home in your career. I want you to hold on to that thought, hold on to what you journal. We're going to come back to that in just a little bit. But I want to start by talking about what you all shared with me and John and Carrie and the HESSA team, the pre-summit journal. So what we were looking to do with the journal was just kind of prime you a little bit, right? Get the conversation going, start to think about, get you in the mental headspace of coming here. So I lumped all of these conversations together, these comments together, excuse me. And this was around challenges. And these were your words that you may recognize. Your words, thank you for everybody who submitted on time. So in your words, in terms of challenges, the staff is working on additional charge basis, no dedicated staff for student affairs. Most of the teachers are busy in teaching and research activities. The university is less reluctant towards student societies. You can say that there's less trust. There's a lack of awareness, a lethargic attitude. Sometimes being the first generation students at a campus are the challenges when it comes to student programming. And I put these all together because I think they are related. They're a little bit different, but they're kind of related in terms of some of those challenges. I think there's some overlap that you may be seeing. You may see your words here, but you may be like, oh, I kind of resonate with that comment from a college. So at your table, again, let's talk about these challenges. Is there anything that needs to be added that wasn't presented on the previous slide? That's actually the same question. The second bullet point was missing from the list. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And has your AGA...
It was from our what we told.
Yeah, so these are some of your words. So your words. So these are challenges. So here again the discussion points. This is a silly mistake I made. These are basically the same questions. So is there anything else that needs to be added? Then it's your perspective. What are some challenges that you've had at your AGI and I want you to share at your table now? And then what have you overcome? So let's talk about past success stories. And I'm going to ask for a few examples from each table in terms of maybe a success story on there. So we'll do this for about 5-10 minutes. I'll invite you to go chapter table.
Can you change the slides?
Yes. Back to this one. Yes. So have you been able to overcome that? Are there any other challenges? I just want you to share with your table. Essentially, just talk through it. You talk through it. Let's start here and work right from my right to left. student advisor, student leader, selection, election, process. Okay.
What silently wrong with this? The new motivation for the students was how to market.
How do we market it?
Yeah.
Stay tuned for like 20 minutes from now. Stay tuned for like 20 minutes from now. Take that up. Good? Cool.
Okay, so the group discussed that students learn they take on that be able to involve more students, will be able to learn
Yeah, cool. Okay, so this is an echoey room because of the tiles, so especially when people are presenting, just be mindful of that. So, sorry, Steve?
Okay, so we will be able to learn more strategies of students involved in the practices. If this is a collective thing that we will be taking on with us from this training, and strategies to give other good strategy to our higher ups in the universities to have our specific office for co-curricular activities or short programming in the universities. So those universities they will be working on that as well. So that we are hoping that you will tell us that how to engage our higher ups with us, with these people, to make them able to create or make the option of super programming or super centers in the
Thank you. In my mind, it's like table 1, 2, 3. So thank you, table 2.
So one thing which I think as said will be on the table as well, how to effectively, because this is one challenge I actually face, the faculty effectively facilitate the students in the learning society, because I think without them it does become very challenging and difficult to do anything that is co-curricular or extracurricular, because of obviously the schedules and the timing that students need to have that mentor other than the organizing all the events. Secondly, I think we also agree with the thing that we have to have motivation for students to join the learning society. We did discuss that in the Google Summit, I remember, so you did give us a slide as well. That was helpful, but I think we have to go a little more into detail in that. And thirdly, about the selection and election criteria and the process and procedures, because I think not all the universities at the moment are ready with the SOPs and the clear policies on how to organize those and everything. Especially if I talk about my university, we do have a policy, it's written about the elections, but we are not allowed to have elections in the university. So we go by the selection process. But that also, I think we need to have a more effective, enhanced process for that. So maybe we can learn that and
Okay. So that's helpful. Okay, so this is helpful. So we have thinking about student motivation. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Student selection, elections. We talked a little bit, share some rubrics from Texas A&M University, student leader selection. We can think about that. We're going to talk about, again, more, not so much this week, but just the storytelling. And I keep on coming back to the notion of storytelling. Ultimately, when you're in an interview and a student is interviewing, they're telling their story. They're telling their story of what they accomplished while they were a student at the university, while they were working. So one of the concepts of learning is the notion of metacognition. It's not about just learning, it's about knowing what you're learning. It's about being able to step back and be able to reflect and be able to articulate, here's the thing that I did, here's what I learned, here's how I apply it. And so it's not just about doing the thing, it's about learning. And it's not so you're not just like a faculty member, you're not just saying like this is a concept that I learned. application of a skill. It's a recognition of that skill. So we're going to talk about those skills here today and tomorrow, and how they manifest themselves specifically through student societies and student organizations. I think that that'll be helpful. Our friends, Double Shoe and Crystal Green in the orange and blue book here have a really good activity that we're going to get to at some point this week, talking specifically on there. I want to just do a quick reminder, all of the things that we're doing this week are in the Canvas class course, so just a reminder that it's all there. I'm going to send it and resend the link to everybody to make sure that you have access to it. Dr. Kazir, we've added you, I think, to it, right? So you'll just remember that the slide deck, everything, all that information is going to be available here. And a reminder, I'm just my own phrasing, and this is my own thing that I recognize that I do. Interchangeably, I'm going to say probably orgs or organizations, student societies, and student clubs. When I'm saying it, mean the same thing. It's interchangeable. So I want to set that expectation, and there's different verbiage and different campuses. They're all just the concept of a student group meeting together, not because of a class or because of a common interest, whether it's an academic interest or whether it is just like debate society or something like that. So just remember, as I'm going through, I apologize that I in case I am using those words interchangeably. So here's kind of the crux of what we're hoping to do today. Talk about mentorship. If I lied, there's a great presentation that we should probably do on mentorship. All the quotes that I have, which are opening for slides, are all about mentorship. This is from the American film director, Steven Spielberg. The delicate balance of mentoring someone is not creating them in your own image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves. Right? So, even my own kids, I don't want them to be me. I want them to be their best selves. I want them to have values. I want them to be able to kind of go and explore and do all of those things. And being an advisor, being a supervisor is not necessarily about having them be the next you. It's about having them be the best self. So it's challenging them. It's pushing them to be their best. It's providing the support. There's just this notion, the theory of challenge and support, right? If you challenge somebody too much without support, they fall over the proverbial edge. It's our role as advisors, it's our role as supervisors and as educators to provide the safety net, to provide the scaffolding. Some students, you know the student in your head, require a lot more hand-holding, a lot more safety measures, and a lot more scaffolding. There are some students that you can be like, hey, here's the thing, go do it, and they're going to do exactly as you're hoping for, and you're going to excel at it and do that. And we know as educators that we have to have a different approach for each one of the students that we're working with. So when we think about mentoring, it's not about creating the next you, it's not about creating the next, a lot of students see the student body president, the president of whatever society they want to be a part of, and they're like, I want to be that person. And the only person who can be that individual is that person. And we as advisors need to say, okay, you want to go be in that role? Awesome. How are you going to excel in that role and make it your own? Our learning objectives for this next section, articulating the purpose and role of student organizations and societies and higher education institutions, developing standard operating procedures for student organizations and society management, including how to manage student leader selection and election. Sounds familiar with what we all were talking about. We're on the same page. So, this is the why. We focused, if you were in the Bourbon Summit 2 years ago, Randy should have played a video for you. We're talking about like the goals, so we're going to focus on the why. That's the core of what we do, it is our mission, the main thing, however we want to talk about it. I always go back to this because I think it's important, because we are all stretched in many different directions, and always remember the why. Why are we doing what we're doing? And figuring that out first is going to guide us in terms of where we're going. I told you I don't have these placeholder slides around. This is chapter 1. That is kind of where I'm starting in here. So I pulled this next section from chapter 1 of this book. The theory of the moment. So this is the theory that we're talking about today. So it's Athens theory. It was in 1984. It's foundational to the work that we do in student organizations and student societies. So students, according to the theory, learn best when they are involved in both academic and non-academic pursuits during a collegiate experience. So the co-curricular that Dr. Guzman was talking about earlier, both quality and quantity of student involvement influences the amount of student development. So I was telling students, you don't need to be the president of all 20 societies. Be good at one. But if you're going to do a couple of different things, make sure that you're giving proper attention to each one of those. A lot of students love to have the title, but don't always do the work that goes with the title. The title is great on the resume. It's fun to talk about in interviews and say, I was the chair of this, the president of that. But we want students to not only think about the breadth, but also depth. Right? So think about the depth of what they're doing, think about the quality of what they're doing. And that quality-quantity balance is going to be different for each student based off of a number of factors that are relevant to that individual student. The theory talks about the involved student, right? Quotes, and I can talk about this involved student. They define it as a student who spends significant time on campus, particularly in activities, and they interact with their faculty. They interact with the folks like you all in this room. You all, as I say this, probably have a student in mind. So, how do you obtain this? How do you define the involved student at your HEI? When I think about our group, we have people from mountainous regions, we have urban regions, we have rural regions. It's very different each one of our campuses. We have a lot of students that are first gen. We have 100-year-old institutions to the next to 7, 8, five-year-old institutions, right? It's very different when you think about each one of our campuses. So think about the involved student. Picture them in your head. How do you define them? And this is a broad picture, broad brush as you think them. What are their characteristics? What are their flaws? And just a little bit, you love them anyway, this is your student. Think about it, share with your table, talk a little bit about who your students are. Three more minutes. 3 more minutes. All right. Can we come back to the presentation? I'm curious if when you were listening to somebody else at your table, did you hear a similarity between your institution's involved student and somebody else? I see Dr. Jamal nodding. Do you mind sharing maybe what you saw?
Yes, sir. When we were discussing, the North student was defined by unanimously by all the faculty members as a student who is good in studies, who is focused in studies.
Yeah.
So in general perception is that that student is more involved in his studies. As far as the characteristics are concerned, so he always has good grades. He always very studious. The flaws are that he is most of the time shy.
Or she?
Shy, and he has poor communication.
Shy, or communication. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so I can see.
In my perspective, the advanced student, the first question, in my student, in our university, most of the, I think 80% are unemployed. Only 20% of the advanced students who are currently difficulty with participating in the seminars, even student activities. So, the advanced students are very much less. And our university. One of the characteristics, most are hard working. This is the single characteristic of our students. And one of the flaws, so I think the basic flaw is mostly the university students come to the subject by virtue, not by choice. So this is the major flaw, and they are not well motivated toward the subject, toward the university life, toward life cycle. And they are very focused that they will complete the degree and they will start the job.
Right.
So I think this is
awesome. Thank you. There's one. Sorry. Yeah, so like we did this when I was the first year. I was not in place. No one changes. Yeah, I get that. Awesome. Thank you for choosing to go on there. So some additional things today, just hearing a little bit of this. So we talked about quality and quantity. The amount of energy students can invest varies by the individual. So it's going to be what is their responsibility at home, graduate students, people with families, people who are caretakers for either elderly in the house or younger brothers and sisters in the house. They're responsible for their work responsibilities, their own responsibilities, their relationship with friends, any part-time jobs that they may be having as well while they're also doing their studies, and just outside activities, anything else. There's a curriculum World Cup, there's a thing going on, there's some people just have other things that they want to do that are not university related. These are the pushes and pulls that all of our students are facing individual and different from each one of them. As you're thinking about those small students, you're probably thinking, oh yeah, these are some of the things that are happening for each of those students, right? They may want to do all the activities, but the family expectation is they need to be home by a certain time. They may be excellent at certain skills, or they may be a good researcher, and they feel like they don't have the time to do anything else. When the reality is, if they had that was their main thing, like that's what they wanted to do, the reality is, the research would show, kind of what Dr. Jamal was talking about, involved students is typically the one who's a better at time management. They're typically going to have better grades in the classroom, even though they have more responsibilities. When a student finds that rhythm of like the quantity and quality balance that works for them, they're more likely to be successful in and out of the classroom, and that's where the co-curricular supports the curricular inside of the classroom. So a couple folks, we're getting to this in like 20 minutes, and here we are. So, participation in student societies. What are some of the benefits? We talked just about student involvement in general last year in Hindi. So, it promotes effective cognitive changes, It benefits intellectual, social, and emotional changes. It creates higher process of critical thinking, knowledge acquisition, synthesis, and decision making. So again, why do we invest time, money, and energy into student clubs and student organizations and societies on our campus? When we have the Vice Chancellor change, we have leadership change. Here is some incredible data that'll help kind of back up the why behind this work. And then the sense of satisfaction of the university experience. The students who are finding purpose, they're defining their main thing as both what they do in the classroom and outside of the classroom. When they start to see how these things complement one another, you start to feel satisfied with the university. What does that ultimately lead to? Higher retention at the university, better relationships with friends and peers, with faculty, with staff. And that is one of those awesome things about student society. That's how they feed into kind of the work that we're doing. And when we talk to leadership, when we hopefully are figuring out our assessment plans for this year, we're able to capture not what the book is telling you, but what your students are telling you to hopefully confirm what the book is telling you, and hopefully more. There's more. It's not just that. Participation in student societies also means that students are more likely to know what campus resources are available to support their educational experience. These are the resourceful students on campus. They've figured out how to host an event. They've made a personal connection. They know who to ask for what. They know what offices are willing to support different organizations. They are making those connections so that in 6 months when they are having a mental health crisis or their friend is, they know who their counselor is and they're on a first-name basis. When they need to talk to IT because their HDMI cable isn't working, they know who to call up because they got that guy on WhatsApp, right? They know they made those connections that allows them to be successful so that the network that they've developed. You develop communication skills, leadership skills, everything that John and Carrie are talking about, a lot of that comes through student organizations and student societies, and self-confidence. When you feel competent, when you feel like you know what you're doing, you feel confident. That confidence feeds both the co-curricular and the curricular experience for our students. It improves academic engagement. Again, if I know I have an event and we're putting something together, I'm going to focus on my classroom experience because I need to make sure that I'm studying, doing what I need to do, finishing the paper, do whatever it is, because then I also have this responsibility, this expectation from my peers that I'm going to be doing something else to support our organization. Make friends, make peer networks, become more citizen-minded. I love this one, in particular in the context of Pakistan, because as I look at my WhatsApp chat, and again, I wake up to a lot of WhatsApp chats, and I read them, I promise, I just don't always respond because the conversation has moved on. I see this, your students supporting refugees in the northern part of the country. I see your students working within the communities, working to support feeding your communities. And each one of your communities has different needs, and universities have a requirement to support the local community. And we see that. We develop it. We develop that set of demands to get students who can get back to not only the university but the community. And that really creates a symbiotic relationship between the host city and the university. Prepare for their careers. Standing right in front of this part here, this is improving graduate employability through all of these things. When you are hiring somebody, do you want somebody with good time management skills? Do you want somebody who's a leader? Somebody who's a good communicator? Somebody who can synthesize thoughts, be a critical thinker? Our students are getting this through student society. They're getting this through student organizations on campus. It is our responsibility to help students grow, but then also recognize that they are learning, that they are developing these skills. Help them tell their story. So when we talk assessment later on, we're going to come back to this and think about that. And here's the bottom line of this section. There's two pieces here. One, involved students are better students, better researchers, better connected to your HEI. There's a whole section of HESSA that is involved with alumni engagement. When you feel connected, those are the ones that you call back to the alumni panels, to career panels, to give financially to your university, to think about the alumni they're better for the community, they're more likely to be engaged in the community, and they're just more employable. Again, do I want a person who is excellent in the classroom? That sounds great, but if they're not a good communicator, if they're not a critical thinker, if they're not adept at working in teams, if they can't lead others, if they can't follow others, if they don't have all these other skills, who are you bringing to your company? If your work supporting student programming is incredibly important in student learning. Students don't learn without the intervention. They can do the activity, but if there isn't a mentor, if there isn't somebody who's saying, like, hey, let's talk about that, let's reflect on that. This week you're going to hear a lot about facilitation with Carrie and John. How do you have a good conversation where we talk about growth and development? Not do that one-on-one conversation. Take them out for coffee. Let's bring everybody together. Reflect again in the week. And talk about not only what you did, but what you learned and added volume and do the things you did. So thank you for what you do to our students. So, at your tables, which of these benefits of student involvement most resonated with you? So as I was going through that list, what resonated with you as a professional? And when you were hearing that list, did you have a student come to mind? And tell the story of that student to your table. So about 10 minutes to do that. We'll come back. All right. Okay, so we're gonna move forward. She's not going to share on that just in the time. In terms of where we're going, you've been hearing me talk about this. This is going to be kind of its own breakout. So again, I saw a lot of head nods, right? Anecdotally, we can see and feel the benefits of student involvement programming. What I shared with you, I don't think was necessarily groundbreaking, but it was put in words and kind of research is what we do. But I ask the question again. How are we capturing this information through assessment at the campuses? So two good examples. We did our September group training where we talked a little bit about LCWU and SAU and how they capture some student learning. How is this being illustrated to your HEI leadership and campus community? And how do students know that they are learning or gaining these new skills? So I moved this to another day. But this again goes into some of those challenges that I keep on hearing. How do we make sure that we know that students know that they're learning and that we are capturing this in a way that we can tell that story to our senior leadership in order to get some of their support? Sorry, are you you get it? Got it. All right. Again, all this will be online on campus. So a few challenges, right? And this isn't necessarily always an easy thing for us to accomplish. So a few challenges when it comes to student organizations. Just the knowledge about the benefit of student involvement is not always well known, especially with faculty and staff. This is a theme that I heard you all do. I promise I did not write this just as we were talking in the presentation. Institutional support for organizations or societies. So there's differs for each one of us. Some of us have strong student affairs offices that have multiple staff members. Others, this is like their second or third responsibility on campus. There's been challenges regionally around Pakistan, so that is a challenge that we have to navigate. Increased need for meeting rooms and event spaces. So as we grow, there are a finite amount of good spaces on campus, and every single student organization wants to use that on Friday nights this week. And there's just always that front. It happens at Duke, it happens at every single university that I've worked at, and I imagine, I see nodding over here, that's happening in your campus as well. The more refined we get, the more students want to do, and the more of a stressor it puts on existing resources on campus in terms of how we support. Fair and consistent practices for student organizations, so again, it's going to go into some of the SOP development that we do. And then educating student leaders about the requirements from the institution, and that's part of the training that I intend to do on day 3, when you're tying this all together. I'm going to skip ahead from this just in the interest of time today. What I'm going to do is look at this previous slide. I'm just going to do show of hands instead of just kind of get a feel for the room. If you read this statement, if that's relevant to your campus, raise your hand. If this is a challenge you're facing, the first bullet point. 1, 2, 3. We're just looking at the first bullet point. Strongly. 2 hands. Or something over there. Okay? 2 hands for okay. Number 2. Is this a challenge? Institutional support for organizations and society. Is this a challenge at your university? Show hands. Yeah. Okay. I like the scientific, like, this is great. It's okay. Increased need for meeting rooms and event spaces. Stress around. Okay, 2 hands over here. Okay. Fair and consistent practices for registered student organizations. This is a challenge here, campus. No, some. Okay, a little bit of spots. Okay. And then educating student leaders about their requirements from the institution. I already started training people about challenge. A little bit of half hand, a little bit over here. Okay, cool. Who was it again? So, thank you for playing that game. A few things, again, this is from chapter 1. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This just goes into community rewards. This is in chapter 1. It talks about 5 things. Just rewards in general, student organizations. So to the community, to the institution, to the organization, to the advisor, and to the student. So specifically thinking about the community, so community service, impacting your host area, institution, you recruit students this way, people want to do things because it's like, again, think about your HEI leadership, what are their sweet spots? Everybody has different things. When I talk to one of my supervisors, I frame things in one way. When I talk to her boss, I frame things in a different way. What are your HEI leadership? What are the things that are going to be their reward buttons that they get most excited about? Recruiting and retaining students, it improves retention on the campus. It keeps people, it helps you get people to your campus and helps retain them at their campus because again, they feel more invested in where they're studying. Organizational rewards, so creating greater sense of acceptance, contributing to how we shape the university. So whether you are a UET and you've been here for 100 years or if you've been here for a couple of years, you are shaping your campus. You are creating a legacy for yourself. And I think a lot of students get excited and they are motivated by that. Advisor awards. I think we're all here because we like what we do. We like students. We're an educator at heart. And I think that is one of the rewards of being an advisor. And then student rewards. The competence building, the professional development, sometimes the leadership development, decision making, cooperation, communication. These are skill building. This goes into employability. These are things that are going to help them. And that is something to just be mindful of as we move ahead. So focusing on the how. We're not going to get through everything today, but we're kind of getting into SOPs. I'm going to send you home with homework. Apologies in advance. This is chapter 2 and chapter 5. When we talk SOPs, this is chapter 2 and chapter 5. What is the role of the student activities or the student affairs or the student organization office? How does it define kind of just in general? So we're going to do the show of hands game again. So if at your institution you are responsible for the following, you will raise a hand, or your office that you're in, develop or manage a calendar of events. Okay, so supporting the development or the growth of student organizations and societies. Okay? Providing institutional consistency and required procedures. So think about SOPs, basically. Instituting your SOPs and being like, this is what it's going to be. Okay? So we'll start from there. Communicating about processes with campus partners and students. So again, sharing the SOPs with everybody. I think a lot of us, it's like they exist, but then it's like, how do we make sure that we're also like teaching people and sharing the information? Two separate things. Supporting sponsor organizations. So academic department organizations. So what that basically is saying is like there are student activities offices, but then the Office of Geology, they have their own special student society. Do you also do that as well in your office? People? That's cool. Are you required to provide training to students and advisors? Sure. Actually, that's an assessment meeting. That should be the bullet points. Provide training for students. Hand down. Advisors. Hand down. Okay, so okay. So again, looking around the room, we have different job responsibilities. Did we miss anything? Just in general for student organization management, student society management. Sorry, I'll ask the question again. Is there anything missing from this list? So this is the textbook list. Is there anything at your campus that they didn't talk about here?
The student advisor office is not responsible for voting and managing the elections of facility process.
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
Okay, so a different office does elections with elections.
I think student office should like supervise, have a supervisory role.
They should, okay. It depends, so we're going to talk about constitution in a little bit. The general idea is, how does our constitution say it should be managed? Should it be internally by the student, or should it be by the institution? I think that's hopefully one of the things that the constitution should have some collective role, I guess. Yep. Okay. Anything else?
Yes, there are some other sessions, training, which come from various outside organizations and from the governmental departments.
Okay.
Usually here at UET, our office manages both.
Okay. We're going to move ahead. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so here's where I need some help with Carrie and John to pass out some files. Yeah, everybody gets one each. You are going to pass out 3 separate documents. You should get a copy of 3 separate documents. Yes. We pass out 2, the third one is coming. So you all have a white notebook in front of you, so if you want to keep those organized in there are a bunch, so you want to put them in there. So you have 3 documents in front of you. The first one I would point to is the one that was like this. Okay. ASUU is the Association of Students for the University of Utah. That is their student government. So ASUU is the University of Utah Student Government, Student Council, representative body for the University of Utah. This is kind of their standard operating procedures. Talks about their purpose, talks about how people become members of the organization, talks about voting, talks about their responsibilities. This is a student government organization. This is a student-created document. That is what this file is. The digital copies are also going to be available in Canvas. I'm Jen like right in a second to make it here. Number 2, the student recognition process looks like this. We have that file in front of them. This is from the University of Utah. This is the university's standard operating procedures, policies and procedures for how student organizations are recognized. Legally in the U.S., a student organization that is recognized by the university is an extension of the university. So as a chess club, baking club of the University of Utah, I am a legal entity the same way that the business department is at the University of Utah. That is generally how everything applies within a U.S. higher education context. The university governs how organizations are recognized what the requirements for them are, and how do we make sure that they are compliant with all of the university expectations. That is this file here. When I worked at the University of Utah prior to Duke, even though I was at the Asian campus in Korea, these were my two documents that I always went back to when I was working with students. When students have questions, I say, okay, let's look up the policy and procedure. The cat person who's cat right outside of me, I need to say hello a little bit here. We would always go back to these files. And this is like the starting point. When we talk about SOPs, these are these first two. Number 3, and I was going to do this is actually in your textbook, is this file right over here. I used the scanner on my phone, so I apologize. I'm kind of like a little bit funky when I was doing this at home last week. This is in your textbook, so you guys should see the second page is page 125, 123, 127, something like that. So you'll be able to see it in there as well. This is a blank constitution. This is a generic constitution. Student constitutions are used for student organizations and societies as the founding document. Think about your SOPs, right? SOPs are, what is the university saying? How do we govern organizations? How do we make sure they're in compliance? How are they meeting all the expectations? Minimum requirements, selection processes, equal opportunity for everybody to be a part of that campus, et cetera, et cetera. The Constitution is provided two. One from a student government, like student society, student council type organization. And then this one is just the generic one that's in your workbook. As I mentioned, your workbook has a lot of awesome resources that are generic starting points. Like, this is how we're going to start the process. These are the 3 documents that we're going to start our activity with tomorrow, and this is what your homework is. I'm asking everybody to come back to their table tomorrow, because table number 1 is going to be looking at the ASUU Constitution, this one. I encourage you to read all 3, but if you're only going to read one tonight, read the one that I'm asking you to read. So read through here. You may want to take a picture of these questions so remember for tomorrow. Table number 2 has this as their assignment. So looking at the university process of the University of Utah, student recognition process. Table number 3, guess which one? This one over here, probably one. So, what I would like you to do is read through it tonight. It shouldn't take you too long, 10, 15 minutes, find a break time. Read it and be prepared to have a conversation about these 3 questions. What are the strengths of the document you're reviewing? So, I like this, I don't like this does not apply to me, this applies to my campus, this is how we do this on my campus. Have a conversation with yourself. Does this make sense? This is reflected if you have SOPs, and some people have very established SOPs. Is this something you have? Do you need to do more of it? How can you utilize this at your HEI? And did anything surprise you? Is anything missing? So, tomorrow, we're going to come back to our tables, and what we're going to do is talk about this. We're going to talk about these 3 questions, 4 questions, and I'm going to give the microphone to each table to talk through, to explain what's in the document, to talk about the document's strengths. You don't have to love everything. These are samples, right? A lot of what we do is usually kind of... You'll do your homework. It's okay. We have a 2-hour break for when we get back to the bar. You guys are just really good conversation today. I don't want to kind of have a conversation. We're going to spend the first like half an hour on this tomorrow. So, breakfast. Yes. This is an ungraded assignment. So, if you can read it, read it. If you can't, it's okay. I'm not worried. It's really just a matter of this is where we're starting our conversation tomorrow. So this is where we're starting our conversation tomorrow. And again, how do you apply it to campus? What do you like, what do you don't like? The thing that I find with higher education, student affairs, At this point, a lot of campuses have done it. We all kind of borrow from each other. It's like, I like this, I like that, we want to pull them together. I was telling Glenn this morning, I was writing a whole bunch of letters of recommendation. I haven't had a chance to write them on my campus. I wrote one original letter of recommendation like 15 years ago, and I have just, it has evolved and morphed with different student stories. Like the general structure is the same, but it always changes by the student story. I pull in different things. I'm like, oh, I want to talk about this student. They kind of remind me about this other person, so let me take that letter, let me pull in this other information, let me customize it based off of there. Nothing is new at this point. But what we do is we take the best of what's out there and we apply it on our campus, because each one of our campuses are going to be unique in terms of what they need. So this is our task. If you have the time to read it tonight, do some homework, cool. If not, we're going to spend the first like 20 minutes or so tomorrow with this activity to get us warmed up as we get together. Any questions? You will read it. We have made it to the end. You can kind of see my recap here, sort of, maybe. So again, the two learning objectives for today: articulating the purpose and role of student societies and organizations, and developing SOPs for student organization and society management. That's kind of what we're doing in this activity. How do we manage student leader selections and elections? Try to catch it if you can get a good picture of it. Cool. So we're going to start on that last slide. We're going to go into this a little bit tomorrow. We're going to start a conversation. We're going to go deeper into it. There won't be a test, I promise. But I want to say this. It's been 6 months. If I just like brains doing the math right, I feel like I just saw everybody in this room. This has been really fun being up here, being able to work with everybody. Look forward to the next few days. You all have been like, we talked about active engagement, being curious, jumping into conversations, being inquisitive. You all hit that mark on this first day. You hit the ground running. So I want to thank you all for your involvement in the conversation. Lunch is going to be across the way. Dr. Asif can.
Yeah, I will guide you.
You guys ready?
Conference. I'll be right. We have to check after.
For next session.
Yeah, okay. That laptop have HDMI port?